Yeah, so, okay. Kind of a slow news day. Man, I just wish Urban Meyer would get drunk and go out to a bar again and let another girl grind up on.
Oh, baby. We back. We back. Ladies and gentlemen.
Well,
It's time for another edition, a Wednesday edition of the Grossi Perna Show, or as the kids call it on the street,
crack. Oh wait, we already did this crack. I said don't do crack last time.
Yeah, don't. P.S.
Yeah.
I'm Grossi Brandon Perna coming at you to your eyeballs. Hi.
You've been navigated. See you guys next week.
And you've reached your destination. Well, wrap it up.
We should do that. Tom, we should do that one week. We'll just end the show, and then we'll come live right back on and see.
Yeah, just right back on. But
see how bad it screws up our numbers.
Yep, exactly. Because that's what, honestly, we're trying to do on a daily basis here. We don't care about numbers. Oh, I'm cultured, buddy. Yeah, it was an episode last night. We're rocking.
Very emotional. Lots of characters were killed off, and really jumped the shark last night. I haven't watched it yet.
I can tell that didn't happen, but you know what is happening? This freaking fracking show, and it's a little bit of a slow news day. However, the talk of the town right now is COVID, and good God, the NFL has got a fever, and the only prescription is Joe Rogan.
Where's my ivermectin?
It was funny because I was giving my dog heartworm medication on the first, and I didn't realize that it literally was ivermectin, and I had a good chuckle to myself when that did happen. And I was like, Sinclair, you watch the Joe Rogan podcast. But folks, we got a lot to talk about today. Papa Grossi's in the chat. What's going on? Woo! Oh, it's going to be a time. It's going to be a time. And we're going to be talking about, Browns fans. They're struggling this morning. They're struggling hardcore. Stefanski coming down with the COVIDs. Baker Mayfield coming down with the COVIDs. Do they even have an offensive line anymore? We're going to talk about that. Maybe the NFL will postpone the game. As of right now, there's no talks of it. We'll talk about it. But if the game goes off without a hitch, I bet you could bet on it.
Oh, could you? Gee, I wonder where you would do that. Is it DraftKings Sportsbook?
I think so.
That's literally the only sportsbook out there. So if you want to do sports betting,
there's no other.
Just type in DraftKings Sportsbook.
That's it.
Because there are no other sportsbooks.
None.
You use code GPS when you sign up.
Navigating.
And they're going to take care of you. They're going to match your first-time deposit bonus of up to $1,000.
Won't drive you into a lake.
Won't drive you into a lake.
Nope.
Won't take you to the wrong address. No. This GPS gonna double your deposit.
Oh yeah.
And right now, new customers can bet $1 on any team to score
points.
I think this is
after
the last day to do it. Bet on any team to score any points.
Don't bet on the Texans.
And you could win $100 in free bets.
Wow.
$100 in free bets.
That's pretty solid.
Which you could spend your Christmas budget on, like, oh, my family could have no presents this year, or they could have double the presents this year.
Are we exchanging gifts this year, Perna?
Yes. I got you 20 Xbox and PS5s. So I expect your gift to be comparable.
Oh,
but I won't send yours until I get mine first. Link in the
You only
description
need-
for DraftKings Sportsbook.
one kidney, right? I think it's just need one. That's
Ooh, yeah,
fine.
let's swap kidneys.
Let's swap kidneys. That'd be so sweet. And we could get, oh my God, we get shirts made that say Kidney Bros.
Yeah.
Right? And then we
Blood
can eat
Brothers?
kidney beans. It'd be great.
What about Kidney Brothers?
What's it all about? Anyway, yeah, so that was the best read.
Yep.
Let's talk about what's going around right now. It ain't just the news, it's COVID. Starting off this week, you had one day when they're like, oh, what was it, like 25 players? They tested positive for COVID, and you're like, oh, that's kind of bad. You had that a little bit last week, guys like Keenan Allen not being in the game. And then the next day, exactly, happy alien. And then the next day, we got even more that tested positive for COVID. And then the next day, being today, you got a team who's supposed to be playing on Saturday. Their head coach, Kevin Stefanski, and Baker Mayfield. Didn't Stefanski miss last year's wild card game too?
Yep.
Was it with COVID?
Yep.
So he got it twice now.
Yeah. The NFL was like, it was, like, it didn't, I mean, the Browns won, so, nobody cared. But there's no fans at the stadium. Stefanski, could have been isolated in a booth and been allowed to coach in the playoff game. But what we learned is the NFL makes a decision and then they stick to it. So are they going to move the game that has playoff implications? Their response, we're not discussing it. We're not even thinking about it.
We're not talking about it.
We're not talking about it because a day for the Browns could mean quite a bit. It could mean quite a bit in terms of Baker playing, Stefanski playing. But here's our coaching. I think the Browns would be better off with Kevin Stefanski on the sideline. But I think the real question is, if you can't play with Baker, is it really that much worse with Case Keenum?
Oh,
I think the Browns would be all right with Case Keenum behind center. I think Case Keenum's very good coming off the bench for you. And I know overall, I believe Baker Mayfield better quarterback than Case Keenum, but until he's fully healthy, I know he says he feels better than he has for a while, but one hit will change that as it ricochets through every injury in his body. A week of rest might not be a bad thing for Baker.
Sure.
But I think it's the other thing that's interesting here is both right now, Baker and Stefanski asymptomatic.
Yep.
If they can play by Saturday, it means they both are vaccinated. So I think the NFL has to reevaluate its approach at this point to vaccinated, asymptomatic, any asymptomatic person out there and get the research on how that spreads. And because like right now it's just getting overwhelming of every player being reported as testing positive. I thought it was weird that Ian Rappaport reported that Christian McCaffrey, who is on IR, tests positive for COVID. And then he said, another big name player. Like, it's completely irrelevant, and you're just doing it because it's Christian McCaffrey. Seems a little silly. I get reporting on players who it's going to affect the game, and since McCaffrey is not going to, don't need to do it. I don't want to hear about any more COVID reporting, is my point.
I just think it's really funny that, like, I just imagine Christian McCaffrey, like, sitting at home. He's already injured, right? And then just COVID's just, like, knocking on his door, and he's like, oh, let me see.
Let me get in there.
You see what it is? And just kicks him in the face. He's like, come on, man, I'm already down. But, yeah, that seemed a little bit unnecessary. I mean, here's the thing. Like, I get it. There's a couple things you brought up. I think that at least with Case Keenum, he's going to be consistent and you could play like you did against the Broncos. Yeah. Sorry. But like you could,
and I'm not saying he's better. I'm saying he's better than a injured Baker Mayfield, just to be clear.
Sure. But I think like an injured Baker Mayfield right now, like is just inconsistent, right? Like you could have him light it up and be amazing, or he looks like poopy caca. So I think that in terms of, stability, I don't think it's the worst thing. And like you said, I think you bring up a great point of him being able to rest a little bit longer. In terms of like the COVID reporting, like I get it. I think it's overwhelming because so many players are coming down with it at this point, and like especially like a big player does. But yeah, I mean, it's just going to be a matter of it's now like a waiting game, right? Because if they can test negative twice, then they can go and they can potentially play on Saturday. And I know the NFL is like, listen, they're playing, like the football game is being played. Like it doesn't matter, if you're starting wide receivers at your as your quarterbacks, we're gonna make you play. So now I think the only thing they could do potentially is postpone it, but I think that they're trying to avoid that too, because that was a mess last year, playing on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and things like that. So I think the NFL is literally going to be like, unless you physically can, like the entire team has COVID and you can't play, like you're going to be playing ball on Saturday. So I can't imagine they're going to postpone it regardless of how many star players or head coaches are out.
Yeah, NFL don't care. Here's Baker Mayfield in a win versus Baltimore. 190 yards, 2 touchdowns, a pick. All I'm saying is I believe you can get at least that from Case Keenum. You can get that production from Case Keenum. The real issue with Cleveland, isn't Kareem Hunt hurt again?
I think he is, yeah.
Kareem Hunt injury. Brown's optimistic about his health after Sunday's injury.
Well, all right, that's the only optimism in Cleveland right now. So that's all they have going for it. Yeah, I think they'll be fine with Case Keenum, especially if they're able to lean on the run game. Jarvis Landry will have himself a good night probably because he'll get a ton of targets. And I think that while there's playoff implications, like the Browns just like need to win that football game. Like they in that disaster of a division, I feel like the Raiders are already done. Is it too early to say that they're done? I mean, they're not mathematically eliminated, and they're only technically like a game worse than everybody else. But yeah, I feel like they're done. Like the performance they put against the Chiefs, I was like, yeah, that's a struggling football team right now. But
the Raiders,
yeah,
the Raiders are done.
I feel like the fork is making its way in.
Finito.
Yeah.
And it's their defense. Like their defense was playing well early in the season. And
wait, Landry has COVID too? Oh, I missed that. Never mind. Jarvis Landry's not going to catch anything except COVID. I didn't realize that he had COVID too.
Yeah, well, here's the thing too. It's like you and I have talked about the Saturday games sneaking up on us. It's just it's BS that teams that are in contention for the playoffs now are playing short weeks with Thursday night football. They're playing short weeks with Saturday night football, and they get an extra game this season. And the only reason the NFL drops these Saturday games in is because college football ends, and they are trying to maximize their profits. So it's crappy that the Browns, who are in the playoff running, even though they're kind of like the Raiders at this point, where I don't think they're a legit playoff team. Like this game means a lot for them. And they just shouldn't be playing on a short week anyway. I think it's stupid. I think after week 13, all the games are Sunday and Monday night football. And you get rid of the Thursday games at this point because you got Chiefs and Chargers coming up Thursday. Yep. Chargers without Rashawn Slater. Chiefs are going to be without Chris Jones because they're in the COVID protocols. Who knows how many more players get affected for that key game.
Is Keenan Allen is he still out for COVID too?
He might be. I don't know.
Freaking. Oh, yeah. Because that's from Tuesday. So, yeah, Jarvis Landry, Austin Hooper, Jedrick Wills.
Like it's all of the Browns offense. So I take it
their
back.
Entire offense and their O-line. Oh, God. Who's going to play football?
Case Keenum's going to suck. He's got no help. I take everything back I said about Case Keenum. He has no help around him.
We have pivoted real quick here.
Give us a Monday night doubleheader, NFL.
Do it. I mean, they do it, week 1? I mean, they could do that. Like that's the thing, too. The issue is that if the Browns lose this game, which there's a good chance they do, considering that everybody is out, if they lose, like, they don't have an easy schedule left. The next week on Christmas, they play against the Packers.
Ooh.
So, like, and these are like pivotal games. We have 4 games left in this regular season, which that sounds crazy, but we have 4 games left, and that's it. And especially in the AFC North, where they are on top of each other and there's no consistency, like, this is a disaster for the Browns, because they still, in my opinion, they still had playoff like ambitions, and they could have still win the division, considering the Ravens are hurt, like the Steelers are the Steelers. I'm just saying, like, I think that this is postpone it to Monday. I know it screws up scheduling. I know it, not as many people are going to go, but the NFL is just like, nah. Everyone wants to see Case Keenum out there with wide receiver number 6.
Yeah, so. No, it's a bad product, which NFL doesn't care about as long as a bad product makes them money.
That's true.
We are a legit playoff contender, Todd. I'm assuming you're talking about the Broncos, right?
Hold on, there's it. It look. What color are those seats? It looked orangey. Were those maybe? I don't know.
Was it a Browns? Are you a Browns fan?
He's a Browns fan. He might have been a Browns fan. It looked orangey, like the ends, like, right? Doesn't that look? Does that look like a Broncos orange?
Todd, are you a Broncos or a Browns fan?
Wait. No, look. You can see right behind his fist, there's a white stripe running through. I'm pretty sure that's Browns.
There. Todd confirms. I am a Browns fan, baby.
There you go. Investigating.
You're a legit contender to get to the playoffs. I just don't think the Browns can beat anyone in the playoffs. You nearly lost to Tyler Huntley. The only reason you were able to win that game was because Myles Garrett got a touchdown. Like, you had a lead. The Browns couldn't close it. The Ravens shut down Nick Chubb. If Nick Chubb gets shut down, there's just not a lot to rely on. Your defense should be better than it is. That's why I'm worried about the Browns. I have wanted the Browns to prove to me all season long that they could be a playoff team. I actually picked them ahead of the Bills to go to the Super Bowl before the season started, and it's just been disappointment. Some outside of the Browns' control. I think the Baker Mayfield injury is just too much. Odell Beckham Jr. gone, which I put in the thumbnail. Do we owe OBJ an apology? Because he's playing pretty well now with the Los Angeles Rams. Tom, do you think we owe him an apology?
No.
The triple Bs. Yeah, the triple Bs. I
might all miss it.
I cursed all 3. The quadruple Bs if you throw in the Bengals,
Oh, God.
Quads.
Don't worry, buddy. We're going to get you to the playoffs. No, we don't owe Odell Beckham Jr. an apology whatsoever. And here's why, Brandon Perna.
Okay.
Because when we were criticizing him, he wasn't showing up. He wasn't playing well, right? And these past 2 weeks, he has. On Monday, he had a great game. Okay. Hell yes, Kiko. Okay. And so I feel like now that he's showing up, he's doing what he's supposed to do. And I applaud him for that. Like, when I was streaming the game on Monday, I was like, wow, OBJ's crushing it right now. And you said weeks ago that the most important player on that team for the Rams is OBJ. That he has to show up for them to make the playoffs. And look, they beat the Cardinals. So, Brandon Perna, crushing it. And now, OBJ. Look, he's doing pretty darn well. So
this is why we don't owe OBJ an apology. Because he didn't handle that situation like a pro. He handled it like a child.
He did.
And like many children, if you whine long enough, you will get what you want, because it's annoying as fuck. And I say that confidently now as a dad. That baby cries and points, and you take her to every spot in the house trying to figure out what she wants. She just wants to keep pointing at shit, and you go to it. But look, OBJ, he's got 3 touchdowns in the last 3 weeks. That's nice. Still hasn't put up a 100-yard game with the Rams, which is like Cooper Kupp has that basically in his sleep. He pulls out a 100-yard game.
That's true.
But to be fair to Odell, people thought immediately the first game back, he should have like this giant performance. It takes a little time to learn, a new offense, learn the chemistry with your quarterback. Same thing with Von Miller on defense. So yeah, it was a good move by the Rams. We are seeing Odell play closer to the level we expected. The problem I had the whole time was just how he handled the situation. I think you can force your way out in a respectable, quiet way. I don't think you need to let your father do your bidding for you. And if he does, out of your control, own up to that with your quarterback. Like you can have an issue with your quarterback not getting you the ball enough or not being good, but to handle it publicly the way he didn't like. And
I get it.
You can think that, and you can still think Odell's a good football player. That's where I think stuff gets diluted sometimes.
There's nuance. Like you could have both opinions being like he didn't handle it the right way. He's still a good football player. That's it. Like if he stays healthy, I still think he is a good football player. And we'll see. I think he could be a very valuable number 2 or number 3 guy in LA. I think it really helps that Cooper Kupp is there and he's absolutely lighting it up this season because then OBJ is not going to get covered as much.
Yeah, and if Robert Woods didn't get hurt, then I think OBJ would have benefited tremendously because.
And then don't forget Van down by a River Jefferson, like he's crushing it too.
Van Jefferson's been solid as well, but he had some penalties Monday night, like just kind of that young player type of thing.
Yeah.
Browns Raiders.
Real quick, I do want to talk about that Monday game. I know it's like it's old news because it's less than 48 hours ago, but. Cardinals, they didn't look that great. I mean, because they shot themselves in the foot like a million times. And Kyler Murray, one of the interceptions not really his fault, but had some real bad throws, had a bad interception, but also had some real bad overthrows. He could have hit AJ Green. I know that there was some pressure there, but there was a couple times on that first drive where they could have gotten some big plays. And it just seems like they just didn't really come to play. James Conner continuing to be amazing. And someone was mentioning too, he should be comeback player of the year. And I can't disagree with him. I can't. You've been singing James Conner's praises for a while, how he could just go and he's garbage. And now when he's actually featured, look how amazing he's doing. But
yeah, I think the thing that's going to really help Arizona is when they get Chase Edmonds back on offense. As good as James Conner is, he doesn't pose that sort of, he doesn't pose the same threat as Chase Edmonds. And what James Conner is really great at is being a red zone running back for the Cardinals. Where the hell? Okay, here we go. Yeah. Because I talked about this, I think, in either the recap or the power rankings. I forget. But so you got the 2 league leaguers. Whoa, league leaders in yards, and Jonathan Taylor, Joe Mixon, right? 1,300, 1,000. But if you filter by touchdowns, James Conner, 14 TDs,
insanity.
And about half the rushing yards of those other 2 backs. Crazy. Derrick Henry's 10 touchdowns. He's still
4. That's crazy.
But yeah, James Conner and the way they're using him. It was a great, I don't know if he deserves comeback player of the year, but I think it's just a very savvy offseason move for the Cardinals. If you're a Cardinals fan, you got really, you could say their worst offseason move was probably JJ Watt. And that's just because he's hurt. And that's a risk with JJ Watt, and it happened. And he was good while he was playing. But
my dude was getting ready though. Did you see him? He was doing drills on the goalpost.
Was he? Is he going to be back for the playoffs?
I mean, that's what the rumor is, that he potentially could be. He was doing the drills on the goalpost, and I was like, because he's a monster. Like he legitimately, the way he trains and everything like that, it's crazy. So if there's a guy who could do it, like I would not put it past him to try and make that comeback, especially like if they get the first seed, which by the way now belongs to the Green Bay Packers. And they have an extra bye, they could. But like Kyler Murray, great on the run, is able to make, moves with his feet. By the way, that last play of the game, I don't know what in God's name that was. Like, that was just confusing. Like, he could have spiked it and had like time, but he just ran backwards and then just slid and took a sack, which was the second time he did that. I mean, are the Cardinals as good as we're giving them credit for?
Yeah, I think they're close to it. I don't think they were, and my power rankings have reflected several weeks, much to the chagrin of Cardinals fans. I don't think they are quite as good as their number one record was. I still think they're very good, and I think they showed that without Kyler Murray.
Mm-hmm.
But they played a very good Rams team whose offense, the Rams had a nice offensive game plan. Matthew Stafford didn't throw any of his crippling picks, 3 touchdown passes from Matty Stafford. And I think Aaron Donald on the first play of the game bulldozes the Cardinals offensive lineman and sacks Kyler Murray on the first play of the game. And I think that's kind of a tone setter. I think it gets in a QB's head. Like, I've been watching some like old sack highlights, and I feel like something kind of missing in the NFL is defenders being allowed to hit quarterbacks hard, affecting their rhythm and putting a little fear in them for the rest of the game. And if a team can hit Tom Brady early once or twice, you see that affect him. And it's hard to get to Tom. He's one of the best at avoiding. But I feel like Kyler Murray looked great against the Bears. Just shows how shitty the Bears are.
Yeah.
Struggled a little bit more against the Rams, who do have a better defense, although they were without Jalen Ramsey. But I think getting hit on the first play, I think that kind of affects your game, especially when it's Aaron Donald, who's a psychopath on the field. He's a psychopath.
It's a little bit of a tone setter. I love how he started and ended the game with a sack, though. That kind of was great.
And I think on that final play, Von Miller thought the play was like being blown dead or something. It looked like he didn't want to sack Kyler, and then Kyler just ducked him and then fell right into Aaron Donald's lap. But yeah, anyway.
I am very curious to see how they play against the Colts and Cowboys. Because they have 4 games left, and 2 of them are the Colts and Cowboys. And my biggest concern, Perna, right now the Packers sit at number 1. My biggest concern is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because their schedule is a walk in the park. I have to pray that the Saints are able to upset them again, because I am afraid that they're going to win out. And if the Packers lose a game, you're going to have the Buccaneers be up there.
The Saints will beat Tampa behind Taysom Hill's legs.
I hope so.
Tampa struggles a little bit against quarterbacks who can move.
Yeah,
they do. So
AFC West is going to be wild, dude. It's going to be wild.
Oh my God. I've thought the season is over for the Broncos so many times, and it's just not.
And you're just like, nope, we're still in this thing, baby. We're still in it. I mean, it's not this week, but the next 2 weeks, right? You have the Chargers, you have the Raiders.
We got the Bengals this week, which is a huge game because both those teams have the same record. Yeah. And then, we finished the season with games against the Raiders, Chargers, and Chiefs.
Man, what a crazy end of the season that's going to be.
Yeah, there's no way they win all those games, but that might not even matter. If they win 3 of those 4, probably in the playoffs.
Which is crazy.
You got the Bills, Colts, Broncos, Bengals, all sitting with the same record right now.
Just give it to Javonte Williams all day, every day.
Oh, they had the formula. It's Javonte and Melvin.
Yeah. There is one thing I wanted to talk about. Something that has swept the nation. It's probably going to win an Oscar.
Ooh.
The brand new Kevin James film, Home Team. The one where he is playing as Sean Payton from the New Orleans Saints. And folks, I don't know if you realize that, that is Kevin James there. That's not Sean Payton. I know, looks a lot like him. But the trailer for this movie came out. And, by the way, apparently 6 more just got added to the Browns COVID list.
Wow.
I actually might get a phone call from the Browns. Like that might be a thing. That might happen at this point. This move, did you see the trailer for this, bud?
Oh, interesting you mentioned that.
It looks so bad.
Roger Goodell.
The Saints win the Super Bowl!
Hey, Coach. Mr. Goodall is on the phone?
Roger Goodell. The commissioner.
He didn't say what his job was.
Coach Payton has been suspended for a full year.
Oh my god.
Sean, what are you doing here?
Just came to watch my son play football.
Oh, and then he's going to coach his team?
Dude.
Wow.
Like, I just want to walk through the first, how much did we watch that? 22 seconds. It felt like years. The way it starts out is Kevin James, who looks nothing like Sean Payton. Can we get that out of the way? Looks nothing like Sean Payton, being digitally put into the celebration of the New Orleans Saints winning the Super Bowl, and then sitting at a desk, and the person who works for him says Goodle, like, haha, women don't know football. The person who works for the Saints organization doesn't know who Roger Goodell is. Oh man, that's a knee slapper. Vaginas don't know football. Oh man, what a great one. This movie, like Netflix paid for this. Like paid for this to be made. Looks unrecognizable. Nope, looks like Kevin James. Holy crap. I saw this and I was like, this is offensive to the eyes and the ears and my life.
Well, Tom, when did the Saints win that Super Bowl? I was in the mid, like 2005,
2009.
2009. Yeah, so it was before 2010, and historically speaking, women did not know football before 2010.
It's just like, holy crap. So bad.
We've got that, and you've got the Kurt Warner movie coming out.
The Kurt Warner movie.
Which looks like a Lifetime movie on steroids. It's hard to get an NFL film right. They tried it with Draft Day. It's horrible. Not even Kevin Costner could save that flick. It is Happy Madison, and I think they needed to commit to being full-on Happy Madison, and it just seems like Sean Payton coaching his kids' team it just doesn't seem like the most interesting story to do either.
But, like, it just looks so bad. Yeah,
it does not look good.
Here's what I'm going to say, Perna. I'm thinking two things are in my brain right now. One, that could be a clickbait punishment that they have to do a watch-along watching that Kevin James movie and streaming it. Or two, you and I get together and get drunk and watch that movie together. I think either one leads to greatness. But you know what else could lead to greatness?
Oh, might be. It might just be DraftKings Sportsbook. Damn it. Oh no, I'm hitting all the wrong buttons. DraftKings Sportsbook.
You nailed it.
Use code GPS when you sign up over at DraftKings. Our link for DraftKings, it's in the description for your convenience. All right. New customers, you can bet $1 and turn that $1 into $100 in free bets. DraftKings is an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Just like the Kevin James movie had to get NFL partnership rights to do it. Unlike that movie, so far we have seen DraftKings handle this correctly. I think being the official partner of the NFL is actually pretty big. It means the NFL trusts DraftKings because they're safe, secure, reliable. You can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience, which is really important when you're risking your money on football game betting. And new customers who sign up, DraftKings just might match your deposit bonus all the way up to $1,000. So you deposit $1,000, you're going to get $1,000 to work with on your bets. I got to look at some of the QB props this week. But right now, if Case Keenum starts with all of those Browns players, the Browns might have to forfeit based on how many players might not be able to play. But I might take the under on Case Keenum's passing stat line. That would be my hot tip of the week. Go GPS, DraftKings. They sponsor the show, which means they sponsor my life.
Adam Schefter. NFL has now 7 teams in enhanced COVID protocols: Browns, Bears, Falcons, Lions, Rams, Vikings, and Washington football team.
Wow.
We're going down in an earlier round.
It's a gun in a cockeyed bullet.
Oh boy. Yeah, that's something. That's something. Okay. I mean, and look, they're already fighting about the vaccine in the comments because, of course, Tom's done with that. I'm done. No more done. Yeah. So let's talk about
unvaccinated. Can you take the vaccine out of me? Next week on Grossi Perna Show.
There's a thing that's going around right now that in which like you could have like this swamp water mud and it would take the vaccine out. It doesn't. It just gets you sick. But Perna, we live in an interesting time. we live in a very interesting time. Why not a made up coach? Dude, I just love how they were like, you know what? Kevin James looks exactly like Sean Payton. Put him in there and let's make gold. Like, let's just make gold. So, anyway, let's talk about power rankings, buddy.
Ooh.
We got graphics today. I didn't put them all together, so that's not my fault. That's on me.
All right, let's do it.
I'll put up Tom Grossi's power rankings. You know, Green Bay Packers back at number 1 finally.
Bold.
That's right. That's right. And then
worst special teams in the NFL. How did they be number 1?
14 again? Again, Perna?
We 14 for the rest of the season, Tom.
No, Perna, buddy.
14 for the rest of the season because there are 14 playoff teams. Why would I exclude teams in the hunt at this point in the season? Don't get mad because I had the foresight to do the right thing, Tom. Do not get mad because of that. And you don't have to go to 14. I know what you're thinking. You're like, that idiot. You want me to rank 4 more teams after all the work I'm currently doing? Look at this. Look at this perfect power ranking.
You put the Lions at 14 last week. So you can't even make the excuse that it's playoff contenders because the Lions won 1 game.
Yeah, last week. That was a ceremonial sort of gesture, okay? Ceremonial. They were eliminated from the playoffs this week, as were the Jags and Jets, joining the Houston Texans.
I'm currently putting it into one image so everyone can be happy. So we can. I'm just working on the fly. So, buddy, why don't you explain? I don't know, 11 through 14 while I do this.
Okay, so I've got the Baltimore Ravens in at 14. I had to put the Ravens in the list because they are in first place in the AFC North. That's the only reason. They actually played pretty well with Tyler Huntley after, getting down deep against the Browns. Got the Dolphins, who still have the 5-game win streak since they did not play. I ended my Perna reserve list for the bye weeks because those are now officially over. That's right. I'm going to keep doing whatever the hell I want with my power rankings. Put the Cowboys in at 12. So without 14, the Cowboys wouldn't even made the list.
You put them at 12.
They're coming off a huge defensive performance. I believe the defense will be the reason they win playoff games if Dak Prescott can get his stuff together. Even he admitted he's in a slump. When's that slump going to end? I don't know, but I'm not sold on the Cowboys. 49ers starting to get my attention now that George Kittle is healthy, has over 300 receiving yards in the last 2 games alone. He is a huge difference maker for the 49ers, as is Nick Bosa. Bosa, I think, has the second most pressures, QB pressures in the league right now, third most sacks. So that is a difference for San Francisco. And then, yeah, the Bills at 10, even though they lost, they came back against Tampa. And obviously it didn't work out. Obviously they didn't close out that game. Obviously they were screwed by the refs in addition to screwing themselves, which, shout out to Bills Mafia for raising. Oh man, I thought this had the number. Where's the number? How much did they raise? I think they raised like $18,000 to help visually impaired people in reference to the officials officiating their atrocious game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Which
So I
is
feel you,
amazing.
Buffalo. I feel you,
amazing.
Buffalo. Yeah. So there we go. That's me explaining 14 through 10, Tom. You've got the 49ers at 10, which is close to where I have them at 11.
Yep. I got the Chargers hanging out at 9. You got them up at 7, giving them a little bit more credit. Okay.
Yep.
Cowboys, obviously there's a 4 spot difference there. All right, so the Rams, you moved into your top 5. I just moved them up a little bit because the only 2 teams that they've beaten in the past month have been the Cardinals and Jaguars. So I want to see a little bit more consistency before they're in my top 5 again.
That's fair. That was tough. That was honestly the toughest part was for me, teams 5 through like 8.
Yeah. It got difficult because like the Titans, like, yeah, they're still hanging around because like they beat the crap, out of like they won this week, but they're so injured. But you're like, all right, well, maybe like Ryan Tannehill played pretty solid, had a decent running game. So like I just don't know what to do with the Titans at this point because I don't know who they are except injured. The Chiefs 4 and 5, that makes a lot of sense there. Now here's the thing. Tampa, you put it number 1.
Yeah.
Interesting. So for me, like they were winning 24-3 in the first half. They were dominating. You saw like the full might of this power station. And then they got blown out in the second half 24-3. And then they won it in overtime. So why are they number 1 against a Bills team that was struggling?
Because they beat the Colts a couple of weeks ago. They beat the Bills, and the Bills were in a desperate situation. And the real reason I got Tampa Bay at number 1 is Leonard Fournette.
He's a god right now.
Balling. He makes a huge difference, I think, for their offense. If and or when the referees aren't going to give him all the flags, you just hand off to Leonard Fournette right now. I mean, he's a top 5 back in the NFL. That's the way he's playing. Yeah. And I think depending on what they do with Antonio Brown, they might get one of their most important pieces back to their offense right before the playoffs.
Sure.
And I think part of it's just based on what they did last season in that they started to play their best football late in the year. And I feel like they're going to repeat that. They're going to repeat it.
So Mr. I just go week by week is now bringing in last season.
No, I think that, I'm using last season as a reference where I think they're going to play their best football.
Using that as a baseline.
And look who they have left. Like you pointed out, Saints, Panthers, Jets, Panthers.
It's a joke. It's a total joke. Yeah, I kind of hate that. They are the team I'm the most afraid of in terms of stealing the number 1 seed from the Packers. 100%. Yeah.
They need to be cursed, and the spin wheel refuses to curse them.
They're like, we're not gonna do it. So that one's that. We had a disagreement, I guess, on the Cardinals. You dropped them all the way down to 6. They lost like 1 game. So like I'm gonna bring them down to 3. It was a divisional game. Like I couldn't take them out of the top 5 because I still think they are a good team. They are gonna get healthier. And then we are in agreement at number 2 with the Pats. The Packers. Here's my justification for the Packers, because you look at the first quarter of that game and the Packers are getting their ass kicked. They don't look good. The second quarter, they score a bunch of points, but it's a close game. The Green Bay Packers played a horrible first quarter. They had a slow start. Their special teams allowed an onside kick to get recovered. The Bears to start at a 40, a punt that was returned for a touchdown. All these things. It was horrific. And they still scored 40 points against a divisional opponent. And they didn't even put together their best game at all. And they still kicked ass in the second half, held the Bears to just 3 points, which shouldn't even been 3 at the very end, and still got it done. Can they do that against really good teams? I don't know. But, if we're giving Kyler Murray credit for playing against the Bears and stuff like that, I think you need to give credit to that defense. Had another pick 6. They shut them down completely in the second half, and the offense was clicking and firing, and they still did not play their best game. So that's why for me, and we could disagree, that's fine.
Yeah.
But that's why for me, they're number 1.
They officially have the worst graded special teams in Pro Football Focus, for what that's worth.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's a weakness for Green Bay, and it is their special teams. And that's why I don't have them at number 1, because if they were playing a competent team, not the Bears are maybe the furthest thing from a competent football team.
Yeah.
Packers might have lost that game. They didn't lose because they have one Aaron Rodgers, who has just an insane touchdown to interception ratio over the last 2 seasons. Got a lot out of Alan Lazard in that game. So, I'm hoping the Packers are number 1. I'm hoping they beat the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
But if a team...
again, you get Jair back, you get I know we keep saying this, but we have 4 games left. I think they come back, if they're going to, end of December, maybe early January. And they could get really, really good. Even better than they are right now. So, yeah, I think it's...
I saw some... Guillermo's
here.
Guillermo?
Broncos made the Super Bowl against the Packers. Would that affect Tom and Brandon's friendship? No, dude. Are you kidding me? Do you know how much content we would put out? We would be gods of YouTube.
We'd be
gods of YouTube.
Man, that game would be bad. I mean, Packers, I just feel like would feast in the Super Bowl. We'd get a classic Broncos Super Bowl blowout.
That's what was supposed to happen in Super Bowl 32.
Yeah, but they had John Elway and Terrell Davis, Rod Smith, Ed McCaffrey. Opportunistic defense.
We had Brett Favre.
And that wasn't coming out of nowhere. The Broncos got bounced by the Jaguars in the playoffs the year before. They're a good team. Now, somebody in the chat said, how did you put the Dolphins ahead of the Vikings? Have you watched the Vikings? The Dolphins have won 5 straight. The Vikings. You think the Vikings should be power ranked? They had 200 rushing yards and still almost lost to the Steelers. Come on.
Yeah. I mean,
I would love
to
actually
be very curious
in the power rankings, but come on.
I'd be very curious to see what that game actually would, the outcome of that game would be, Vikings Dolphins. I think that'd actually be a really fun game.
Dolphins would win 13-10.
That's probably what the score would be. Yeah, that's probably.
I'm not saying I'm sold that the Dolphins are legit, but you can't knock a team that's won 5 in a row. That's really hard to do in the NFL, especially a team that started as bad as the Dolphins. If the Vikings could win 2 in a row, if your Vikings win 2 in a row, I'll put them back in there. All right.
I'll say this. Can you imagine if the Dolphins start their season out beating the Patriots and ending their season with beating the Patriots, and they stop the Patriots from getting the number 1 seed?
Oh, tight.
Now that would be something.
Now, somebody also said the Patriots have a weakness, and it's rookie quarterback. I don't think that's a weakness right now. I don't think they fully trust him. I don't think he's going to be the reason they win a game, like a playoff game. But it seems like Mac Jones is not going to lose him a playoff game. And he's playing better than Tom Brady when Tom Brady won his first Super Bowl with the Patriots.
We're talking about these QBs like it matters. You know what really matters is that just announced Sam Darnold is designated to come off IR and he's going to practice. So Panthers to the top.
Sam Darnold and the Panthers hand the Buccaneers one of their losses. Heard it here.
There you go. Dude, that'd be amazing. Please. Can you imagine Sam Darnold just like comes out for one game and he throws like 5 touchdowns against the Buccaneers? Just one. I just need one.
Man, the Panthers, a team that was so hot early in the season. Darnold efficient. The defense looked like maybe the best defense in the NFL.
I remember.
And then they went through hell. They got cursed and went through hell.
They went through it. And now they're still in the playoff because like that number 6 and 7 seed, like in the NFC is a joke. And they're so top heavy, like and that's it. But the 6 and 7 seed is a joke. So I don't know. But tomorrow, Brandon Perna, we got a little Thursday night football action that's real important for you, buddy. Real important.
Go Chiefs, go.
Chiefs, Chargers. That's going to be a game. A lot of
Chargers
playoff
losing
implications there.
Helps the Broncos. It's hard because I just want to see the Chiefs lose, but I need them to win. And I'm gonna be okay with whatever happens there. Both teams getting the COVID ball, hitting them a little bit before the game. Justin Herbert, of course, threw probably the best touchdown pass of the season last week. just the furthest, most accurate pass I think we've seen all season to Guyton. So, man, I don't know who's going to win this game. We saw Kansas City's offense play well, but really they've only played well in the last month against the Raiders. It's the shootout? Maybe a shootout? I don't know. I can't figure it out.
It's going to be fun. Like, I'm actually very excited for this game because there's a lot of implications on the West Show too. But yeah, it's going to be wild. If the Chargers could win and end that win streak.
Ooh, yeah, that would be big.
They go number 1 then, right? Your division's so convoluted.
Yeah, I don't even know the ramifications.
So all I'm saying is that game's going to be wild. And if the Chargers win, oh boy. Chaos is going to reign supreme in this place. So I think if Justin Herbert is able to, like, if the Chiefs defense doesn't keep him in it, they're done. Because it's like you said, their offense has really not shown up, except for like a handful of games, meaning the Chiefs. So I think that if the Cardinals, good God, if the Chargers defense is actually like, I don't know, somewhat good this week because they're wildly inconsistent, I think the Chargers have a great chance of winning this football game.
Oh yeah, either team can win this. Both teams have had their ups and downs. Like Mahomes threw 5 touchdowns against the Raiders, and then I believe none against the Cowboys, none against the Broncos, and then 2 more touchdowns last week in a game where the Chiefs got a defensive touchdown. They got plays from guys outside of Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, and that's kind of what's a little worrisome if you're the Chargers. But again, there's, the Raiders secondary is bad. Their safeties are not good. And teams with good safeties, and, the Chargers do have Derwin James back there, they can slow down the Chiefs. That's what we've seen. You keep your 2 high safeties throughout the game. Always keep them high. Get your safeties super high. And then they can handle Mahomes when he tries to freelance. Those big explosive plays are taken away. And the Chiefs struggle when they patiently have to chip away at teams, but they figured out ways to do it. I think they're getting hot at the right time. I think Kansas City's going to win. And I say that just because I don't trust the Chargers. Doesn't matter who comes in and out of that Chargers organization, they are still the Chargers. The Broncos, like, they worked LA. They worked them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Thanks, Brian.
Whoa, Brian Longfellow.
There you go. Thanks, Brian.
Brian Longfellow Deeds.
There you go. Well, Brandon Perna, anything else that you
it.
wanted to discuss on this fine day?
No.
I done now.
I
done. Well, folks,
Friday will be interesting because we'll recap that Chiefs-Chargers game and we'll maybe know what's going on this weekend with some of these games that teams might not have enough. Like the Lions were struggling to have enough people to play against the Broncos last week because of the flu and COVID and injuries. So it looks like there's about 7 or 8 teams in jeopardy this week. And maybe the NFL makes some schedule changes, and we'll be talking about that Friday. Don't know.
Yeah.
Appreciate everybody who watched midweek Wednesday.
That's it.
Tom.
Yeah, appreciate you, folks. Almost got to 2,000 once again on a Wednesday on a little bit of a slow news day. But listen, we still navigated you anyway. But ladies and gentlemen, appreciate you. I'm Tom Grossi. Brandon Perna's right there. This is GPS, and you've been navigated.
And you have reached your destination.